Hello, my darlings. So we're gonna get started right away because we do this chat. Look at me doing my hair. I do these chats on Fridays at 12:30, and it's, you can catch the replay. I've been doing my hair the same way for 30 years. You can catch the replay, so these are recorded, and then you can also catch it on the Kara Yoga YouTube channel if you want. So today we're talking about the neck. A lot of people have neck issues, so hang in there for this chat. We're gonna go over some stuff and hopefully it'll help you out. And this, in class this morning, I said to the class, I need a topic for today, and somebody said, how about the neck? So I said, okay, we're gonna talk about the neck. And the good thing about the neck is that there's a lot to talk about. We're gonna start with some basic anatomy, and then we're gonna go over some helpful things that we can do to help the neck feel better. And then I just wanted to talk about some things to kind of watch out for the neck. So, when you're moving your body, I just want to write this one note down. Flexibility in body don't compensate. Okay, with neck, okay. So here's the basics, and I almost brought my friend Herman with me today, who is my skeleton, but instead I have a picture. I don't know if this is going to show up on here. So here's your spine, okay? And it's probably going to show up backwards on this, the letters and stuff like that, but here's the neck at the top, okay? Seems pretty obvious, right? You have 7 vertebrae in your cervical spine. And then you can see where there's a junction here that connects with the thoracic spine. So here we have this awesome spine with all these awesome curves in it, right? And we want these curves to remain there. We want them to be healthy and happy, okay? So, when the neck changes shape from this, then it's not really the healthiest of necks. We have 3 positions that happen in the spine. There's a primary, secondary, and a, what would be the word for third? Thirdary. So when we're in the fetal position in the womb, that's the first position of the spine. So we have that rounded spine position. And when we're born, if we're born vaginally, we help create the cervical spine, right? Because the head is forced to tilt back like this if we have a natural birth. And that helps to develop that cervical spine. What happens if you have C-section? I'm not really too sure about that. I think probably over time with gravity, just naturally the spine will develop that curve in a healthy way throughout time, because the third position of the spine is the lumbar curve, and that's the lower back area. So what happens is when we start to walk, that lumbar curve starts to develop. So interestingly enough, primates don't have that, which is why they don't stand upright. So if you see an ape, walking on all fours, they have a flatter lower back. Their lumbar curve is not there. Pretty interesting, right? So we have 7 vertebrae in the cervical spine, which is developed when we come out vaginally at birth. It helps to develop that. Your neck, okay, I like to think of it as a highway for your central nervous system. And all these things that are happening from the brain, right? All this communication that we have from the brain to the body is right in here. It connects through here. There are so many topics that we could cover just on the neck. So I'm just going over some basics today. So here we have this highway, right? It has all these nerves and it sends messages from the brain to the body, but then it goes back the other way as well, right? So it's like when you're touching something hot, right? the nervous system it reacts to that hot thing that you're touching, which then sends a message to the brain, which then sends a message back to the hand to come off of that hot stove or whatever it is that you're touching, right? So all these, it's like a highway, and it happens in nanoseconds, these messages that we have, which is pretty amazing. So before we go over some little exercises that can be done to help the neck, I wanted to talk briefly about things that we should be thinking about to help care for the neck a little bit better in yoga and in life, okay? So if you think about that spine picture, we have these segments of the spine. So there's separate segments. We have the cervical, we have the thoracic, and then we have the lumbar, and then we have the SI area, that lower part. And where these segments connect are the weak links of your spine. So I love this line right here. It says, begin, as far as like moving your body, begin with the spine in mind. I love that. It makes so much sense. So when you're moving your body, think of the spine first before you move your body, which is actually going to be very helpful too in relaxing the body before moving. Sometimes we get injuries because we're moving the body using our will to move, rather than coming from a place of relaxation. So if I want to get up and move off of my chair, if I take a minute, breathe, and move mindfully, it's going to help me to not get injured. Hello, Hansel. So when you're moving the body mindfully, it's going to help you to not get injured, which it decreases the tension in the body. So if you're moving the body very quickly, if I want to get up out of my chair and I'm doing it very quickly, hello, Sasha, then my body is tense, right? If you're doing things quickly, your body is going to be tense, which is going to increase your capacity for hurting yourself. So moving mindfully, taking your time to move the body, and going with the spine in mind, okay? So keep your spine in mind when you move your body. All right, so this is what I wanted to talk about. When we're on our heads in yoga, this drives me a little bit crazy because there's so many pictures of people doing yoga, and it's so mainstream now, the photographs that we see all the time, and people are showing off in their poses, and it worries me because if you're not practicing from the right place, if you're not practicing yoga from the right place, then it becomes about your ego, and it becomes about just wanting to get into a pose. And when you see people posting these photos on their heads, for example, you might go out and try the same thing, and now you're not doing it with the right alignment or the right support, so you can hurt yourself. And I've heard of, just in the past couple of years, a couple of people doing that, going on their head, joking around, and cracking their neck. And one person in particular was okay in the end, but he definitely suffered some lifelong injuries from it. And then, recently I saw somebody else, he posted a picture on his head with no support, and his hands were out in front of him. So a few years ago, I injured myself and I was doing a headstand, and I was definitely coming from a place of ego. I'm gonna, be just totally upfront about it. I was doing this movement where, and you can look back, I can look back, the video is still on my Instagram from years ago. And I was trying to lower my legs down in a pike position while in a headstand and do it very slowly. And it's okay to do these things if the load that you're putting on your body parts is a healthy load. If the load is not healthy, if you're not using the structure of your body properly, then there's an area of your body that's going to bear the brunt of that. Okay, so for me, my neck bore the brunt of this improper alignment that I was doing. So my trapezius muscle down from the back of my neck into my upper back here pretty much froze. And I could not move my head from side to side. And this went on for months. And when I went to the chiropractor, they do, and I never go to a chiropractor ever, but I didn't know what to do. I needed help. I needed some answers. So they did an x-ray. And now I had at this point had been practicing headstands for a long time. And I felt like I was doing it correctly, the right way, which I'm going to get into in a second. But the x-ray of my neck showed that my neck was losing my cervical curve here, okay? Which is a really important curve to keep, right? All the curves of the spine serve a purpose. So we want to support the curve so that we can keep it, right? So my curve was starting to straighten out according to the x-ray, which I don't want to happen. So we need to support that curve. And when I asked them why, that was happening, they didn't really have an answer for me. But what it led me to do in my yoga practice was to really be way more mindful about headstands and being on my head at all. So now when I teach headstands, if I ever do in classes or if I'm doing my teacher training, I always do it with yoga blocks. So I have the support here for my shoulders. A headstand is really, and this is a whole nother topic, but a headstand is really a shoulder stand. Okay, so you have to use your arms, not your head and your neck. They're there, they happen to be there in a headstand, right? But I want to use my arms. I want to push down with my arms as much as possible because I want to take the pressure off of my neck. I don't want my neck to hold my body weight. So blocks are a really great tool to use underneath your shoulders. And I'm going to do a whole other video about that. So if you want to follow up with that, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about as far as supporting yourself in a headstand. So the moral of that story is if you're practicing anything as far as yoga goes or any kind of movement in the body, a little evaluation of your motives is not a bad thing. To just say, okay, is this about my ego? And if so, why am I doing it then? And how can I make it more about my spirit, my spiritual side? Getting my energy in line and trying to achieve the more spiritual side of my practice rather than fulfilling my ego for a 5-minute or a 2-second photo or video. Okay, so that's a big thing. Then we have a lot of talk about tech neck. I'm sure all of you have heard about this being, in the past several years, it's like a big thing because people are always looking down on their phones all the time, right? How many times do you see people just walking in the street, right? Just looking down at their phone the entire time, right? So what's happening with that is it's lengthening the back of the head, the back of the neck so much that it's pulling them on the muscles here, okay? Your head is heavy. It's heavy. When it's sitting on top of your head, straight in alignment, it weighs 10 to 12 pounds. Oh, Sasha. Gotta watch out, right? So it weighs 10 to 12 pounds when it's sitting on top of your body, okay? So when we have the head in the place that it's supposed to be, it's 10 to 12 pounds. That's heavy, right? So as soon as I adjust my head forward, just 15 degrees, you ready for this? It goes from 10 to 12 pounds to now weighing 27 pounds. Holy Moses, okay? That's just 15 degrees. So I'm like this, here's my 10 to 12 pounds, right? And just about 15 degrees. Now I'm at 27 pounds of weight on my neck and my spine. Woo! Now if I adjust to 30 degrees, it's 40 pounds. If I go to 45 degrees, it's 49 pounds. If I go down to 60, it's 60 pounds. So you get the idea, right? It's a heavy head, right? So if we're not holding it properly above the body, it's going to cause problems. And what's happening is it's lengthening the muscles in the neck, it's stretching them and straining them, and the muscles here are pulling on the skull. And what's happening is it's causing bone spurs. If you don't know what a bone spur is, it's when your muscles are pulling so much on the bone that it's actually pulling the bone out of shape. It's pulling a little piece of your bone out of shape, and it's called a bone spur. And for a lot of people, when you get bone spurs, it can be quite painful. The good news is it can get better with proper alignment and with allowing your body to do what it's supposed to do and not overstress and overstretch this area of your body. So lifting your head up is a good thing. And you can also look at people and smile at them and look in their eyes when your head is up. When you're looking down, you can't do that. Okay. So that's your tech neck. Now think about what's happening at the front of the neck when we're doing that, right? Crunch, 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 right? So we have this pinching going on at the front of the neck. The space is opening up at the back, but we have the vertebrae at the front, right? Doing this weird, unnatural bumping into each other thing, right? Maybe it's squeezing the discs between your vertebrae to a point where it's, it's just not, it's not healthy. You need to give some space to the discs between your vertebrae. So, another reason to lengthen your neck and create the space in between your vertebrae. Okay? And that's not just the front. We're talking about the sides, talking about the back. We want space. We want to keep the curve. We want space. Okay, so that's tech neck, and that's the weight of your head. We talked about headstands, but what about shoulder stands? Now, if you don't know about shoulder stands, if you don't know what a shoulder stand is, again, I'm going to do a separate video to talk about that. When you have flexibility in your body, it's not going to compensate, your neck is not going to compensate for the lack of flexibility in your body. If you're not as flexible in your body, okay, in your whole body, if you're not as flexible and you do things like you're turning to look at things, okay, if my body is not feeling really open or flexible, I'm going to compensate in my neck. I'm going to overuse my neck. This reminds me of this person that I used to work with, and as we were doing more and more yoga together, she said one of the most things that she noticed, one of the biggest benefits she noticed was when she was driving and just simply turning her head to look in either direction, it was less strenuous on her neck. okay? That's because we're stretching the whole body in yoga, and it's helping to move the whole body instead of just relying on the head turning, okay? So when you're thinking of turning to look at something, think about keep your spine in mind. Let the whole spine work together to help turn your body. And it makes me think of twists when we do yoga twists. So when you're twisting your body, a lot of people just want to get there. Ooh, 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 I want to get there, I want to get there, I want to get there, right? But if you go from think of your spine, keep your spine in mind, go from the lower body here, think of the spine rotating from low down, it's going to take less pressure off of the upper part of your spine into your neck, okay? If I am only thinking about twisting and getting into that twist and nothing else, now my neck is going to compensate. That's going to go down into my thoracic spine. That's going to compensate, right? All these areas compensate for that lack of flexibility that we have sometimes in the spine. And it's not a bad thing, meaning it can get better. Hi, Kate. So hang in there for that. It can get better. You can get more flexible in your spine. You can get more flexible in your body so that you're not compensating on the neck and the rest of the body, okay? So keep your spine in mind whenever you're moving your body. So I was just talking a second ago about shoulder stand, for example, okay? So if I'm in a shoulder stand, my legs are up above me, my hands are on my lower back, right? What's happening with my neck? We always tell people don't turn your head when you're in that position. My head is like this, okay? If I'm on my back in shoulder stand, my head is in this position. The more my body lifts up into a shoulder stand, the more stretch it's gonna put and strain it's gonna put on my neck, okay? If my head is telling me, my ego is telling me, just do it, get into the pose, I just wanna get in there, right? I'm gonna potentially cause problems for my neck and other areas that are compensating for that lack of flexibility if I don't have enough. So, maybe don't go fully into a shoulder stand. Maybe go into half shoulder stand or use a block underneath your sacrum, lift your legs up. Maybe use the wall. There's different ways to do it, right? And little by little, as the whole body becomes more flexible, then you can go up into a shoulder stand without compensating with the neck. There's just little things like that, to think about so that we don't hurt ourselves, because we want to make sure the neck stays happy and healthy because, like we said before, this is the highway, right? This is the messenger section of the body that gives messages brain to body, body to brain, right? We want to keep it happy and healthy. All right, so we talked about the weak links a little bit between the segments of the spine. So we have that cervical, then we have the thoracic, right? Then we have the lumbar, then we have the SI area, the sacrum. Now, in between those segments, there's a connection, okay? We have from one segment to the next, that's the weak link in your spine, okay? So you have your cervical spine down from your head, it meets the thoracic. There's the weak link in the spine right there, okay? Then you go from thoracic down to lumbar, where it meets the lumbar, there's another weak link, okay? This is why when we have injuries, right, you go to the doctor, they say, oh, you have this or that, and they tell you the area of the spine. It's very common that we have it in the weak link areas of the spine. So here we have, again, another reason to work on the flexibility of the body so that we can keep the spine in mind when we're moving, okay? So when I'm moving my body, I don't want to leave my head on its own. That's weird, right? We want to work on the body turning all together, right? I want flexibility in my spine in all the segments, but I also want to take care of those weak links. I don't want to leave them on their own, okay? So I want to support the weak links by letting the whole spine work together. And that's going to help happen more when we work on that flexibility. Okay, so We talked about a lot in that section. Now I just want to go over some simple ways that you can support your neck. Couple of different things as far as, I mean, it seems pretty obvious, right? But pillows. So let's talk about pillows for a second. What kind of a pillow are you using under your head? When I hurt my neck a few years ago, I went to a couple of different doctors, and they sold me pillows, and they were like $70. Oh my God, so much money. Do I still use those pillows? No, I don't. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't. But what is important about your sleeping arrangement for your head to help your neck is to make sure that you maintain the space in between the shoulder and the head. So if you're sleeping on your side, you don't want to, first of all, you don't want to crunch your shoulder into your body. As much as you can avoid that, that's going to be good. So you can roll a little bit onto this upper back. Now you're in the middle of sleeping in the middle of the night. Who's going to keep this up? I don't know. Maybe it's a habit that you can form in your body, and over time, the habitual side takes over a little bit more. But either way, if you can get a pillow that's going to give you that support in this area, you know, oh my God, there's so many pillows that we can choose from. Let's not even get started here. But just keeping that in mind, that you have this space that you want to maintain and take care of for your neck. Same thing when you're on your back. So if you're lying on your back, you want to support the cervical spine, okay, when you're sleeping. So to get a pillow or some kind of support that is right in there and helps support your neck. I mean, it feels good too, doesn't it? Feels really good. So that's one thing. Second thing is, if you're lying on the floor in a yoga class, do I have suggestions for pillows? Sasha, I don't really have a suggestion for a pillow. I would just say and I'll look into that for you too. I don't know if you saw, but there's like the square pillow that's being sold. Anything like that that's going to give you that support between the head and the shoulder. And when you're laying on your back, to support that cervical spine. So you'll see a lot of pillows with like a dip in the middle of the pillow. That's kind of what you're looking for, okay? So like the outer edges of the pillow are up higher so that your head can rest in that cove, let's call it a cove, in the center. And now I'm supporting my neck with that bump on the edge of the pillow, if that makes sense. So if I were you, I would go on Amazon and look at all the reviews and see what's being said on there. That's my suggestion. So now if you're lying on the floor, you're such a good listener. If you're lying on the floor like in a yoga class, okay, why not think about using a rolled up blanket underneath your neck, okay? So here I have a little towel. You can use a towel and just lay on that, right? And that's gonna help support the curve of the neck. It's very good. So those are a couple of things to help support the neck. Let's go over a couple of things to help strengthen and stretch the neck. In yoga classes, we talk a lot about stretching the neck. I like to work on both, okay? So make yourself comfortable and bring your head above your shoulders. I like to roll my shoulders back and down because it puts them in place, right? And then it tells my head where to go. So I want my head to be above my shoulders. And then chin towards the chest. Just notice what that feels like. Feel the back of the neck. Avoid using your neck muscles in these stretches. So we just want to allow the head to be heavy here. And take another deep breath. Good. Now bring your fingertips to your forehead and use your hands, not your neck, to push your head up to center. Good. Now drop your left ear towards your left shoulder. You can feel the stretch on this right side, right? To add to that, you can extend the right arm out a little bit to the side, maybe touch down alongside, or let the arm just hang alongside your body. And then just take a deep breath in. Good. Now take your left hand under your head and push the head up to center. We're not using the neck muscles. Grow the spine long. You want to pull your head up and then drop the right ear down towards the right shoulder. Again, the left arm can dangle alongside the body or it can walk away. Take a deep breath in. Good. Bring your right hand under your head and gently push your head up to center. Good. Dipping the head back, tilting it back, you're going to try and touch where the ceiling and the wall meets in front of you with your chin. So we're going to pull the chin up, try and touch where the ceiling and the wall meet so you feel the stretch in the front of your neck. And then only if it feels safe, and you can always use your hands to support the neck and the back here, drop the head slightly back to feel more of a stretch in the front of the neck. Good. Bring your head back up to center when you're ready. Good. One more stretch for the back of the neck. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see. So you're going to push your chin. You don't need your fingers for this. I'm just showing you. Your chin is going to dip slightly down. Okay, so it's tilting down just slightly. See what it does to the back of my neck? It straightens it up. So I want to tilt my chin down, and then I want to push it straight back. It's a good look for me, don't you think? So chin is down, push the head straight back. It's almost like you're against the wall here. So it's going to add another little stretch to the back of the neck. And then relax that pushing. Come back to neutral. Take a deep breath in. And do it again. Dip the chin slightly down and push the head straight back into an imaginary wall. And you might feel a stretch down the back body into the trapezius, and relax. Good. So that's something that you can do several times. Hi, Angela. Okay, so strengthening the neck. Whew, so importante. Bring your hand to your forehead. Okay, we have the heel of the hand here. I'm going to push my head forward as much as I can, super hard into my hand to help strengthen my neck muscles. I'm sure you can feel this. Now, when you do this, you want to count to maybe 6 or 8, and then relax. Take a deep breath in, leaving a mark on my head. And do it again. Push forward with your head as hard as you can. And relax. Now, that's something that you can do maybe a few repetitions, right? So maybe count to 8, and then do that 3 times. And then we'll do the side of the head. So again, you're pushing into the hand. At the same time, the hand pushes back. So notice where you can feel the strengthening in the neck. Good. And again, count to 6 or 8 and do this 3 times. Good. And then you're going to do the other side. Okay, we didn't do the other side 3 times. I'm just showing you some exercises that you can do on your own. So you want to push hand into head into hand. We're going a little over time here. Oh, this is such a good topic. Now your hands, the next one, the back of the head. Interlace your fingers back here, and you're just going to push back into the hands. Feels good to strengthen, doesn't it? Good, relaxing, breathing, and then push again. Good. So again, as many repetitions as it feels good for you to do, but if you tend to have neck issues, definitely try and do those every single day to help strengthen the muscles of the neck, but also surrounding the neck to help support the neck. Makes sense, right? So I want to thank Trudy for this topic today. And if any of you have anything that you'd like to discuss, Fridays at 12:30 is when we do this. Then you can find the replay on here or on my Kara Yoga YouTube channel. And, you know, there's just so many topics that we can discuss. So let me know if there's anything that's on your mind that you'd like to talk about. Last week we did a meditation. It was kind of hard to hear because I did it right by the water. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry about that. So we went over some really great things today. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you have anything you want to add to it, also please let me know. Keep in mind that when you're moving your body, to keep your spine in mind. Hope you have a great day, and thank you for joining me. Namaste.